Saquon Barkley versus Travis Etienne. Etienne did average slightly more fantasy points than Barkley in 2023. In 2022, it was not close. Barkley was much better, even if you remove the James Robinson games for the Jaguars. Okay, does anybody like Etienne better than Barkley?
I do.
Anyone else? Okay, Heath, take it away.
Etienne's younger. I think he's going to catch more passes. I think Saquon's situation, while it's an improvement in terms of the run blocking, could actually be a downgrade in terms of the pass catching, and the touchdowns will probably be about the same. I'd guess he scores around 10. And I think Etienne's situation improved just a little bit. Gabe Davis is one of the best run blocking wide receivers in the league. Mitch Morse was much better at run blocking as a center than the guy that they had in that position last year. So both guys saw a slight upgrade to their position. This could change depending on what teams do in the draft. But right now, I also think we see more overall touches for Travis Etienne than Saquon Barkley.
Okay, Dave, your rebuttal. You have Barkley ahead of Travis Etienne
by a notch. I can't wait for Nick Sirianni to get his hands on Saquon Barkley. I'm looking forward to seeing how Kellen Moore morphs the Philadelphia offense a little bit to include Saquon. And I don't think you sign Saquon Barkley without trying to utilize him for all of his strengths. And one of his absolute best strengths is catching the ball out of the backfield. And so, yes, I'm worried about just how many touchdowns he'll get. But I also think that he will see a decent amount of targets and catches and maybe even flirt with that 50 catch mark in Philadelphia. Yes, I think it's possible. But on top of that, I think he's the best running back that the Eagles have had in the last couple of years. That's not saying much. Working behind that offensive line, his efficiency should go up. And when you hear about Doug Peterson saying that Travis Etienne, they need to manage his workload, they want to use another running back, I don't know who that running back is. For now, there isn't anybody that really scares me. But just the comment on it and the fact that it came so early in the offseason makes me kind of buy it, and that they don't want to overwork Travis Etienne. And so if I'm drafting Etienne, I'm kind of banking on him for those big plays. Whereas with Saquon, I think I'm banking on workload, some short yardage goal line work, and an uptick in targets compared to other running backs in Philadelphia previously.
I'm just waiting for Jamie to jump in. I guess he was waiting for me to throw
I don't know if you want to go back to which guy you want to talk about.
No, you have Barkley.
I think for Barkley, Dave said 50 catches. DeAndre Swift was 39, so missing a game. I think Barkley should get 50 catches based on being a better part of the passing game. I don't know if he's a better pass catcher per se. I would say he is, but not that Swift can't do that. So I think 50 catches is definitely possible. You go back to when they had a better offensive coordinator and a running back, I think that they trusted maybe a little bit more. Miles Sanders had 11 touchdowns 2 years ago. So Barkley should be able to run for, hopefully close to 10 touchdowns and maybe get, 12 to 15 total touchdowns, depending on how things go for his potential role in the passing game. We've talked about this a lot, how many times Swift fell down at the one that led to, additional push touches that may or may not still be the same because of the retirement of Jason Kelce. So we'll see if that is still a significant element of their offense. I don't think it's going away by any stretch, but will it be the same based on the center change? So I think Barkley's just in a little bit of a better situation. I love Etienne, and Heath, alluded to this. Their offensive line upgrade should be better in Jacksonville. As Dave said, I don't think there's necessarily between Dearness Johnson and Tank Bigsby anybody that should scare you about Etienne coming off the field significantly. I'm a little bit concerned, and you can make the case for the Eagles too. If things go bad quickly in Jacksonville, could there be a coaching change? Because it was bad last year, and they talked a lot this week about the injuries, how much that played a part. Trevor probably shouldn't have played when he had the knee and the ankle injuries and, playing through that. And Peterson sort of addressed that, saying that we needed him to be there, not just in the games, but in practice. And that was just a big part of why they struggled in some game situations, because he was missing practice reps. But Kirk was banged up. Offensive line was a mess. They had the left tackle suspension for Cam Robinson. So there was a lot of things going on there offensively that hopefully will help Etienne in a better spot. But I think if they struggle again, given what the expectations are, could Peterson find his way out the door? Wouldn't surprise me. Again, you say the same thing about Sirianni based on how things were unfolding last year, but I just feel a little bit better about Barkley than I do about Etienne, just in terms of what the high-end potential can be.
Yeah, Peterson, by the way, is not committed to taking over play calling duties. He gave it to Press Taylor last year. They split it the year before. there could be some changes in that regard. And man, the offensive line it's almost like comparing the Giants to the Eagles. That's how bad the Jaguars were last year. And hopefully, I mean, we talked about why they should be better. Mitch Morse, re-signing Ezra Cleveland, who they acquired midseason. Hopefully, no suspension or injuries at left tackle. But it's a big gap. And they went 2 spots. These 2 guys went 2 spots apart in our latest draft. Barkley went with the 4th pick of round 2, maybe the 5th pick of round 2, and Etienne went 2 picks later. All right, next up, it's in the pewter corner. Is that their color, right? The Buccaneers?
Yes.
Phew. Rachaad White, RB 10 per game in full PPR. He averaged 16 PPR points per game. Derrick Henry will be facing Rachaad White. Should have mentioned he's coming in the ring now. And Derrick Henry averaged yeah. Derrick Henry averaged 14 PPR points per game. However, Henry averaged 19 or more points per game in 4 straight seasons before 2023. And White averaged only 16 PPR points per game last year. However, White averaged 18 PPR points per game from week 7 on. So he did show he was capable of a lot more than that. All right, so it's Rachaad White versus Derrick Henry. I do think that this is going to be a full PPR discussion here, and I think that's going to matter. Is the bell still loud? People are saying it's loud. I already lowered it.
Yes.
All right. How's that?
A little lower.
Ding,
Lower
ding,
still?
ding.
Yeah, just a little lower.
Better?
That's just a little lower.
Okay, how about?
Perfect.
Perfect. Nailed it.
Who's got Rachaad White over Derrick Henry?
I do.
I do.
Oh,
Wait, yeah.
fine.
Full
I'm
PPR.
going to go ahead and make a Derrick Henry case. You ready?
Okay, good. Yeah.
Rachaad White is not good. In terms of per carry, this has got to be one of the worst running backs in football 2 straight years. Pretty good in the passing game. I will give what? Yeah,
YPC for life.
YPC for life. I'll give him credit. He's been very good in the passing game, but he's got no top end speed, can't break away from anyone. They simply cannot just give him the ball 280 times on the ground. He got 272 carries last year. His longest play was 38 yards. He had 3 carries longer than 16 yards all season. So if you're looking for a running back who is going to lose his job unexpectedly and is drafted in the first 3 rounds, Rachaad White is the leading contender. That's not going to happen with Derrick Henry. And that is why. Do I believe this, by the way? I don't know, but it's definitely on my mind when I evaluate Rachaad White. That's not going to happen with Derrick Henry. That's why you should take Henry ahead of Rachaad White. Boom! Okay, who's going? Jamie, jump in there.
Yeah, I don't necessarily think he's the worst running back in football. I don't think that he doesn't have the ability to break long runs. You talked about this a lot last year in terms of what the matchups were for Rachaad White and the defenses that he was facing. I do think the role in the passing game is huge here. You know, what he should be able to continue to accomplish by comparison to Derrick Henry. And so if you're looking at the screen on YouTube, if the total touchdowns are within 5, I'll say, the reception total could be within 40, based on what Rachaad White's capable of. He already has a 50-catch season on his resume. So in PPR, that's going to be significant. The total yards may actually be equal in what they're able to do. And so age should matter here too. If you're looking at Derrick Henry, I know he's been superhuman, but Father Time we know is undefeated. And so if something happens to Henry and he doesn't, able to sustain himself, and you can say the same thing about Rachaad White, but I'll take my chances with the younger guy, the guy more involved in the passing game, and still the featured back on Tampa Bay. I don't think Sean Tucker or Chase Edmonds or the guys that they have there are necessarily taking him off the field for significant stretches.
Sure. But obviously if they draft somebody, and especially somebody that has some explosiveness to them, it'll change the equation. So this is all in pencil as of this moment. But I love how White finished last year, 17.9 PPR points per game. I believe that's the same average that Derrick Henry had in his 13 games when he had at least 14 touches. So I think that's good. I agree. Rachaad White is not explosive, but he also doesn't have a lot of negative runs. He also, he kind of does. I'll take that one back. He does have a lot of negative runs. He was successful inside the 5. The work in the passing game, 4.4 targets per game in his last 12 9 of those last 12 games over 15 PPR points. If he's got that opportunity, I don't think we can ignore it. And I don't think the Bucs offense is going to go backward in its second year with Baker Mayfield there. I actually like that they changed offensive coordinators.
I don't know, Dave.
Liam Cohen. I think White's okay. Now, if you're a big Derrick Henry stan and you don't care about his age, you're going to take Henry ahead of Rachaad White. And I totally get that. And I wouldn't even be surprised if his ADP, Henry's ADP, is better or higher.
Oh, it will. 100% it will.
Yeah, wouldn't surprise me in the least. But that just makes White a better bargain. I'm going with White as of now.
Yeah, and Heath, I'm actually quite concerned. They were only 20th in scoring last year, so it's not like they had a great season. But I am quite concerned about Baker Mayfield and the inconsistencies of his career and this offense taking a step back.
I'm much more concerned about that as it will affect Mike Evans and or Chris Godwin than I am the running backs. Baker Mayfield's consistently had a very high check down rate. Rachaad White's caught like 90% of his targets over the last 2 seasons. That this is, if it's a PPR discussion, I don't think this is close. Rachaad White's going to catch 2 or 3 more passes per game, and I think he has more yards per game. And if we're going to talk about risks with Rachaad White, we're talking about a 30-year-old running back changing teams. How often has that been a positive?
It doesn't really happen that often. So
maybe Raheem Mostert, I guess.